Hello and welcome to episode 187 of Just Keep Writing,
a podcast for writers
by writers
to keep you writing.
I'm Marshall.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brent.
I'm Gabe.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Sameem.
And I'm LP.
We are back. We got a full house to start the year. And I want to say at the top of the show how appreciative I was of the community for letting us have a little extra breathing room after the holiday to rest and recharge and get ready for this new year in 2026. And this episode is going to be led by the awesome Brent, and he's going to take us through goals. And I'm very excited to see how this goes and see what everybody's all about for this year. Take it away, buddy.
All right. So, welcome to 2026. I love New Year's because I feel like it is, I have a whole diatribe about why it should actually start in spring, not winter, but that's a whole lot of history and imperialism and all that. So we're not going to get into that. But I do love a new year, and I feel like it's a great way to kind of reset the button and, approach things with fresh eyes. And, I know a lot of people like to crap on New Year's resolutions and whatnot, but I think that they can be joyous if you let them, and they can also be fun. So you don't have to prescribe to something hard. So anyway, we are all writers here. We are all creators. So I want to talk about what we are thinking about doing with this new year. So, okay. But before we do that, I also want to take a second to reflect on the last, because I think New Year's are also really good for taking stock of what came before. So I want to go around. I'm going to ask everyone, what goals did you achieve last year? And if not goals, because I'd rather keep it general for this question, but what writing things that you accomplished last year that you're proud of, if you don't want to talk about overall goals? Okay, who am I going to pick on first? Nick, I haven't seen you in forever.
Because he's invisible.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get heavy right off the bat. That's fine. So let's talk 2025. You want are we talking about specifically writing goals or just general?
I'd say general for now, just because I want people to know we're human beings and we have other things going on besides for writing. And that I think it's important for people to know that, if you're a writer, not everything has to be about writing, and it probably shouldn't be, actually. So,
okay. So 2026 or 2025 started. I normally don't set goals until the following month, towards the end of the month. So my 2025 goal was don't die. So my leukemia came back at the beginning of last year, and that was a very, very rough period. I didn't write for the first few. Well, I did do some writing for therapeutic stuff. And so I really didn't have a writing goal at all last year. It was just do what I can and manage to maintain. And yeah, that was kind of my main thing is survive, be healthy, and be there for my family and show up where I need to show up.
Well, I'm glad you're here, buddy.
Yeah, you're here.
I just felt I just dropped everything on everybody.
Goal achieved.
Yes, but... Huh?
I'm so surprised you talked about that. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about stuff like that because, again, I think it's important for everyone to see that, I think sometimes writers, we are very isolated with our lives, and sometimes we don't really even understand what each other is going through. I think sometimes it was not hear from a writer for a while, and you're what happened to them? Well, life happened to them. So I think it's important to talk about stuff like that. So.
Well, and I think there's also certain moments too, when life does happen, and especially around goal setting too, it fundamentally changes how you operate and do things. And so looking on to 2026, I'm not setting a goal because I am tired of goals failing due to things out of my control, which I admittedly have a control problem, in a weird sense of if I'm not in control of the thing that's happening, then I don't want to be part of it. And I've realized over the last few years that goals effing suck Because if you don't hit them at a certain point, and if you have a personality like mine, you're a failure. You didn't do it right, and you're not going to live up to that. And so that's been my 2025. My 2026 is just like, shit, I'm just going to write. We'll see what happens. I just don't care anymore. Like, I'm done putting the
perspective shift later, but you keep.
Yeah, I'm just done putting pressure on myself in certain things because of like it's undue pressure. And I think that's where the balance of goal setting and things I've learned this last year that I'm carrying to the new year is like you got to have some realistic expectations to account for the unpredictability of life.
All right, so Jenna, I'm gonna let you take over here.
Yeah, I can roll off of that. In 2025, my goal, I guess, I don't love goals. We can talk about that later. For a lot of the reasons that Nick is bringing up, actually, because setting them so far out makes me feel like it's not responding to current conditions. But one of the things that I was hoping to do in 2025 and initially planning to do by May 1st was draft my academic book manuscript. But then I can't remember if I talked about this explicitly because it was around the point when I was first joining y'all on the podcast. But in February last year, one of my doctoral students that I worked really closely with died very suddenly. And it threw me for months. Like I couldn't form words, like even in my journal, I couldn't write things at all. So definitely not anything I was trying to write. And then even when I was just like, sit down, put thoughts on paper, it wasn't working. So I ended up moving pictures around. I ended up collaging a lot and making kind of like combination artwork poetry out of collages because I couldn't like create a thing from my brain, but I could move things around and make them into something. And so the two things that I ended up accomplishing in 2025 is I made a whole bunch of like artwork on accident that I'm really proud of and managed to get one collage poem published in Worlds of Possibility actually in April, and now have a whole bunch more that I'm calling collage poems, which I didn't know was a thing, but Julia Rios accepted it as artwork and then published it as artwork and poetry and then added it to the poetry collection of Worlds of Possibility. And I was like, oh, it's a poem too. I'm a poet. But then my book manuscript did not get written by May. It didn't even get started. It did not get written by the next proposed deadline I gave, which was August. It did not get written by the next proposed deadline I gave, which was October. And this is the point where my editor was like, hey, it's cool on my end that you keep delaying this, but like, are you okay? And the answer was no, but I'm going to write the book. And I ended up actually getting it done and turning it in on December 30th for the like fourth or fifth proposed deadline of January 1st. And it felt really good to be able to leave that in 2025. But I really had to roll with how I was feeling at any given moment and like if the writing was coming or not. But yeah, that is called Decolonial Dreamwork, African Futurism and Imagination Beyond Development. And hopefully the reviewers will like it and it'll go somewhere soon. But it's something I'm really proud of because it's, I ended up taking a lot of the grief and the problems writing and weaving it into the manuscript in a way that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. So it's a mix of like analyzing African speculative fiction, but then advocating that everybody needs to stretch their imaginations in decolonial ways to be able to even understand what these authors are doing. Like you need to be trying to write your own stuff in different ways than like Western norms say. So it gives prompts for writing and gives some examples of my own stories and weaves in dreams and is a weird thing. And I really like it. But it took till like the fifth attempt at a deadline to get it done.
I would argue that is an achievement in and of itself. Like that is, that is. So yeah, I'm gonna offer a perspective shift to all this stuff that you are saying soon, but I want to let everyone else talk first. So LP, you were hand raised. It's a hand raised. She had your little hand raised.
Yeah, you did. I was like, who said that? It sounded like Will being snarky. He's not here.
No,
okay.
No. No snark on my part.
No snark. Okay. Yeah, I mean, last year was supposed to be my year of novellas in February. I lost my job, and so it was really hard to write during that. Went back to school in the fall, which was good. Saw some of y'all. Saw a good chunk of y'all at WorldCon in August, which was really nice. Went back to school in the fall, wrote a lot of poetry. Also this year, 2025, in response to an episode in 2024, started working on a craft book with Kate Maruyama, and also started a lot of novellas in 2025, some of which I think might actually end in 2026. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Gabe, I know you were thinking about this episode in particular. So what have you what did you achieve last year? Like, what are you proud of from last year?
Oh, last year I finished the A draft of my novel, which, I mean, I wasn't really it is, I mean, I reached the end. I wrote the end on the file. It's really incomplete, but it's, I mean, beginning to end. There's the thing, so I'm proud of that. And I think the biggest thing, apart from that, would be that I read so much. I mean, out of the whole year, I think I read more than 300 years, 300 days, which it had been I guess, decades since I done that. Like, I just made the peace of not, because I usually write at night, and I just couldn't. At least the second half of the year, I just couldn't manage it. So I was like, fuck this, I'm just gonna read at least.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, when I talk about 2026, the reading is the thing that like kept me afloat in the creative aspect. So yeah, I think honestly those are the two biggest things.
No, the end. There are so many people that never get to the end, so you should be proud of that for sure.
Yeah.
Marshall, what you got?
All right. So last year was interesting. I don't know. I didn't really start off the year setting a goal or anything, but in my head, I'm raising teenagers. I got work full time. I have multiple side jobs and projects, and I just kind of feel like I'm always, a little stretched, a little thin, So last year, especially on the family side, I think in my head, I really tried to be more patient, especially dealing with teenagers all day and then coming home and raising my own. Also having them at the same school as me. Both of them this year has been a little bit interesting since the fall. So I'm just trying to maintain that. I was trying to maintain that throughout the year. I failed many times. And that's just kind of the way of things. And also, I am proud of the fact though, that I was a little bolder in putting my work out there. I did a bunch of querying and stuff like that. I've gotten some feedback recently, realizing that my book is not ready to be querying, which is good. But at the same time, that means I have a revision project, but I'll talk about that later. The other thing is, I was very stoked about starting new things. And even though I didn't work on revising my book, I did start a couple of little novella projects I'm really happy with, and I'm having a lot of fun with. So although my writing was inconsistent last year, I am happy that I was able to produce some words on the page. And kind of like Gabe was saying, I'm finding the only time I really have to write is at night, and my energy for that last year was gone. So I just have to figure out what that looks like going forward. But yeah, I have some stuff to be stoked about, and some stuff to work on. So that's where I'm at right now.
All right.
It was awesome seeing you most of you guys in September too. That was rad. So
I know I was in New York.
Or was it August? August?
Yeah, it was August. It was August. Yeah. All right. So Sameem, you have anything or?
For 2025, I mean, on the personal level, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but like in 2023, I got laid off from my job, and then again in 2024, I got laid off. So one accomplishment for 2025 was that I didn't get laid off. So that was cool.
Nice.
But the job that I got that started in 2025 involved like a long commute, which after working remote for 4 or 5 years was a tough transition. And I think having that remote work flexibility was something that made the single parenting that I took on over like the last 5 years way less difficult than it could have been. And so everything got figured out, but it was definitely like in retrospect, a lot more transitioning of understanding my energy and my time and my like capacities through the year. And so I had to give myself some grace here and there to understand why, like I think Gabe and Marshall both said like nighttime is when they usually do their writing. And I think I had to come to terms with the fact that that can't be a thing for me anymore. Like I need to sleep and I have really bad sleep habits. So that's a whole other topic. But on the writing front, I think I started 2025 with putting aside a novel that I'd already drafted and was going to rewrite in favor of writing a whole different one. And didn't finish it, but made it a third of the way through and have a pretty clear picture of where it's going, which is good. And just need to sit down and put down words, which is the challenge right now. But then there was a bunch of smaller things that one, I also took a creative nonfiction course in the first half of the year, which was a genre that I didn't expect to explore or realize I have in me. And I ended up really, really liking it. And so I'll talk about this more when we talk about 2026, but a lot of I've been left with a lot of pieces that are like almost done or almost ready to go, and I need to find homes for them. And then in the fall, got unexpectedly invited to do a couple little writing things, which was cool. Wrote an article for ASU's Imaginary Papers newsletter, and then got invited to do an ekphrastic response. So one of the local literary organizations was working with an art gallery and wanted to invite writers to come and view the gallery at the start of the gallery opening, and then at the end of the gallery month, have them come and do a reading. So I wrote a little flash piece in response to some of the artwork, and it was just a lot of fun. And it was only the second time I've done like a live reading, and I just got like a really warm response from the community there at the gallery and people who came to see it. And I think I described it as euphoria, and have since been trying to figure out like, what do I do to put myself in that position more often? And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about 2026, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess for myself, just in the interest of time, I'll just drop the one thing that I was super proud of last year. It was actually a 10-year goal that finally was achieved. I got to be a panelist at Comic-Con. That was,
Damn.
Yeah, that was something I set aside from when I told the story at the Comic-Con because they made me tell it. But 10 years ago, I went to my very first Comic-Con, and I just got this idea in my head. I was like, you know what? I will never, ever pay to come to one of these things again. And I will be someone that is on one of these panels one day. And sure enough, through various circumstances, I have yet to pay for another Comic-Con. And last year, finally, I was a panelist. So that was a pretty big achievement. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was really awesome. It was really cool. But also too, you know what, going to FlameCon ended up being way more important than I expected it to be. Obviously, queer people are like under fire in this country right now, and getting to be at a convention full of us just being joyful and having multiple people come up to me and say that they came to that convention just because I was going to be there, that was I still don't know how to wrap my head around that one. I was very, I was very humbled by that. So yeah, that was a really cool moment. So a little perspective shift before we move on to these year's goals. I would argue this is my perspective on goals. If you are succeeding at all the goals that you make at the beginning of the year, you are not pushing yourself hard enough, and you should be failing at goals. Like goals, you should actually be looking for the failure, because I argue the failure is where the growth happens, and I think failure is where you get your best lessons. So that's just my little perspective on not achieving goals. All right, so yeah. All right, so next question is going to be the fun one. So moving into this year, actually, what are your writing goals and what strategies are you thinking about implementing to help you achieve them? Anybody want to take it first? I mean, Nick, you kind of like the anti one, but I made you go first, so no, I'm not going to go first again.
I know I'm saying I'm the anti one, but like I'm also stupid and I'm a glutton for punishment.
I literally just said it's not stupid to fail. You don't have to.
You listen to the man, Nick. Come on.
I'm trying. Yeah, honestly, so I did have a very aggressive goal I set with you and with Brent and Will. And kind of cap off by 2025. Like I still wrote 50,000 words. And that's not enough for me. I know. Look, I'm so hard on myself. Like, it wasn't enough because I didn't finish the book. Like, so like
I didn't, despite my cancer, I still didn't finish my writing goals. Darn.
Thank you, LP. Thank you. Please.
And ironically, I wrote three short stories and I'm halfway through a book. Whatever.
More than me, man. You're killing
I don't want to hear any F words except for fantastic coming out of your mouth for the rest of the podcast. Like,
I know.
Yeah. Failing. What?
You guys are fantastic. So
thank you.
I think for me, really, like it is coming down to finishing that next novel project and then also revising my thesis project that I'm now in a headspace to do.
Okay, cool. All right, Gabe, I saw you had your hand up, so I'm going to go back to you.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about what you said, Brent, I think the way that I best achieve some goals is like setting super lofty goals. Like honestly, I'll be published by this date. Obviously, when you look into the weeds, it's probably not going to happen because also publishing takes a while. But at least thinking with the things that I can control, I always say, I will finish my draft by April. I know deep, like one part of me knows it's not going to happen by April. But if I set that and I see one thing I do, talking about strategies, I've talked about my Excel sheets so many times. I calculate how many words I need to write every single day so that I achieve this. And now I'm working on the rewrite of this draft that I finished. And I would need to write 700 words on average every day to get it done by August. Yeah, this means some days I don't need to write anything, but some days I would need to write way more. But even if I set it by this August, I know probably it's going to be November or even January next year. But knowing those things, it's like, I don't know, that's like the way I motivate my brain to seeing the thing. And I use these Excel sheets too. I wrote however many words and I opened Excel, put the words down. This is how many sessions I need to get it done. And that just keeps me going. That's a system that has worked so much. And another thing that works a lot for me, and that's what I'm working this month, is that I separate my year is not 12 months, it's 10 months. So January is for goals. It's thinking about goals. What do I want to do? And December is a shit show always. Yeah, so I don't count it for productivity. If I do something, it's like a big win. So it's the other 10 months that I focus on doing those kinds of things. So yeah, I mean, my goal is to finish this rewrite and ideally have it like I would love to be querying by next year, by the start of next year, to begin querying. So yeah, I mean, overall, that's what I would love to happen.
Yeah.
I'll report back later.
I mean, that feels hella reasonable to me. Like, I think that's achievable. And now you're making me think of this site that I'll probably like maybe have you throw in the show notes, Marshall. It's called Pacemaker for anybody out there listening. Mm-hmm. I think Pacemaker. Yeah. So it lets you do exactly what Gabe's talking about. If you're not a spreadsheet person, you can just plug in the parameters. You can put like, I'm starting the day. The end date is end of March. I want to do 30,000 words. I don't want to write on the weekends. It'll calculate all that for you. And it'll give you a little graph, and you can plug it in and you can see if you're ahead of the graph or right on track and all this stuff. So, yeah.
I haven't used it in a while, but I really like that software. It's really nice to set that stuff up. Yeah.
So, so resource, if you haven't heard of it, we'll probably throw in the show notes for you. Okay. LP, what you thinking about? Because I know you have stuff going on for this year.
Yeah. Well, something that happened last year is that I had to do a GoFundMe to help finance my education, which I think is really kind of fucked up. And just kind of decided that fucked up because my school situation is my school situation, but like the way that the community showed up for me, it kind of I let the way that my school thinks about me enter the way that I was thinking about me. And like, they really don't think I'm anything or anybody, which is fine. But my community knows who I am and knows how I show up for a community and how I write and like that I'm about that life in that way. And I was like, oh, I need to balance this out. I need to make sure that like I'm standing in my power in as many places as I can and just like coming in and doing what I need to do the school thing. So I've kind of like committed to a bunch of like Capricorn is in Chicago and I'm committed to Gen Con, which is in Indianapolis, and the Nebulas are going to be here. I'm signed up for that, or I'm about to be signed up for that. In addition to that, Kate and I are finishing our book this year, I think. Room for Magic, a speculative novella on writing speculative novellas. Potentially, we'll see how long it is in 4 months. Anyway, so that'll be fun to talk about that some more. And working on just like see how many novella drafts I can get through in 2026. Lord knows I have an endless. Pacemaker is fucked up because I don't log in for months at a time, and so she keeps going.
Yeah,
I was like, "What project am I supposed to be on now?" Oh, okay.
Yeah.
26. That's awkward for them. Anyway,
it will read you.
It will read you. But look, it's also one of those things where I was like, well, this is what you get because you paid your $5 every month to keep this motherfucker on. It was like, look, and this is you telling yourself what you're supposed to do, what you do. Exactly. But right now I'm working on a reincarnation romance on a generation ship, which feels fun. Thinking about footnotes. Thinking through what it looks like, thinking about like what history looks like in a reincarnation romance. I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. So that's what I'm working on presently. Those are my goals for the year. You know, and I'm doing programming for World Fantasy, so that's a big deal for me too.
Yeah, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Okay, Sameem, I know you mentioned.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Oh, Sameem, you were mentioning you had some stuff that you were going to mention about this year.
Yeah, I think I'm in past years. I've not necessarily like at New Year's, but I've set goals for like word counts or like dates where I have to finish things and stuff like that. And I think there might be a little bit of that this year, but I think that's going to take a backseat. I think it's going to be more like theme for me this year. And I think the theme is going to just be putting myself out there more. Part of that is finishing some stuff up that is like almost done and just needs to be sort of like wrapped up and pushed out the door, whether that's like submitting it to places or like applying to programs and things like that. So yeah, I think that's like the macro thing. In past years, I've done like hit this many words a day, and that's been helpful sometimes. But I've been finding that a little bit less helpful the last 6 months, and so I want to just focus more on like the macro things, and then stuff like that might end up being tools that work or don't work, and I'll figure it out through the year.
All right. Jenna, I know we talked about you having one goal for this year. So
I do, but also like I'm not a goals person.
Yeah.
I need to do this by a certain time because it just gets in my head and it actually fucks me up a lot. So when y'all are describing Pacemaker, like that would shut my writing down completely. I would get behind 2 days and then I'd be like, this is it. I'm like, I can't ever. No, I can't. I'm much more of a fluid sort of emergent writer. I have to go. I can't do word counts a day. I can't do like goals by a certain like numbers to reach. They just don't work for me. Like Sameem was saying, I think I'm more of a theme for the year sort of person. And this year's theme for me is constellating, taking the like stars and relations that I have and what kinds of pictures and can I draw from them? What kinds of new connections do I need to make? So I'm thinking about how this year I am, as I've told some of you, gonna try to write a novel.
Yeah.
And finally admit to myself that I can maybe do it. Or at least tell myself I think I can. But I'm thinking about it more, I guess, in this theme of constellating. What kinds of community and connections do I need in order to make this happen for me? Because for me, I think writing a novel, it is the goal, but it's not like, and so I have to have a certain word count a month. I think that'll fuck me up. So instead, what kinds of connections, what kind of community do I need in order to make this happen? And that is, I'm going to take Gabe's idea of January as the planning month. And that's what I'm in the middle of trying to figure out. What do I need in order to actually do this? So I'm not sure yet, but yeah, that's the aim. Write a novel this year.
I think that is so valid though, like especially because some people don't do well with like that kind of like structure and kind of like planning, I guess. And I feel like sometimes I think a theme is just actually very valid too, especially I feel like not just in writing, but probably like putting yourself out there, for instance. Like that's just something that I think would be a great theme to carry through the year for just multiple areas of life. So yeah, so if y'all hear me talking about Pacemaker out there, don't think I'm telling you have to use it. Just do what works for you.
Yeah, some of us are not doing that, and it's okay.
Yes.
You don't have word count goals, but instead are like, I'm running with the vibes of how I'm feeling that day. Follow your energy, do the thing.
And also,
some of us love spreadsheets, by the way.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it.
I love them and hate them. I mean, sometimes Excel's my friend, but yeah. But also, too, I would say this to people out there, if you're thinking about like goals and whatnot, they don't have to be hard work. It can be a fun goal. You can literally be like, I want to write the most fucked up story I can possibly write this year. Or like, I want to write the story that would make my mom embarrassed. Like, it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to finish 50,000 words. I'm going to finish 60,000 words. Like, if that doesn't work for you and that doesn't motivate you, it's okay to motivate yourself with fun, silly, joyful goals too. Like, it doesn't have to be. Yeah. Okay. So with that said, Marshall, what are you thinking about for this year?
Oh, well, I'm thinking about a lot. I'm going to stay with the patience thing. And as far as like teaching goal, my one teaching goal is to time manage a little bit better to give the students a little better feedback. But that's just in the back of my head always, because I feel like I just get caught up and I don't make the time to do that as well as I could. Also on the personal level, just because of some of the other stuff going on, I'm going to solo travel less, because I feel like I've been traveling by myself a lot. And, and I'm away more than I should be. I feel like I travel for writing excuses for sure, but then I like tack on something else, and I just feel like I'm away for a chunk of time. So I want to be here with my kids. They're a few years from leaving the house, so I want to make sure I'm here more often than not. And so that's more on the personal side. But and on that note, I want to also, speaking of GoFundMe's and community, I just appreciate so much Will and putting together that GoFundMe to try to help me with one of my goals, which is to revise my novel and to get some developmental feedback. I've been getting feedback from people, and I'm kind of collecting it all. And so my plan is to use that money the best way I can to get closer to that, to have as much ammunition as I can going into revising this novel. But that's towards the back end of the year, I'm thinking right now. What I want to do in the more near future is to finish zero drafting a couple of these novellas, because I just want to have the full story on the page and give myself the time and permission to do that. And really, if I can get a couple of those done and really try to get into the rhythm of at least a couple of days a week, making that writing time in the evening work. That's kind of my main goal. And they're really intentions is what I package my students' goals. I have the intent to do these things, and I'm trying to cut myself a little bit of a break, like what Nick was saying, cut myself a break when it doesn't quite happen the way I plan it, because I just want to be able to still feel like I'm moving forward. And I like what Brent said. Failing doesn't, you learn from the failures and you keep rolling. So I don't know. That's kind of my mentality going into this year. So, yeah.
Can I give a phrase that I've heard? Yeah. I don't know where I hear it from, but I'm now relating it to kind of writing, and like, you fail upwards.
Yeah.
So a failure, like, especially with writing, is we all talk about leveling up, but also along the way, it's like you're failing upwards.
Yeah.
I know it sounds so stupid, Jenna, but at the same time, it's like, it kind of makes sense.
No, I think the reason why we're shaking our heads is it means something different.
It means something different.
Well, in the corporate context, it means like white men that keep getting promoted even though they keep fucking up. But I know what you're trying to say, Nick. I'm going to interpret it, and you tell me if I'm interpreting it right. So are you basically saying that, like, when you fail, the lessons you learn actually carry forward into your successes in terms of like,
yeah.
Well, I was going to say, for instance, when you write a story that you're not capable of writing yet, but you wouldn't have known you weren't capable of writing it until you actually took the time to write it. Then you can.
We could call this instead The Queer Art of Failure, which
like that,
is a book that somebody has written, and I'm trying to remember what. It's Jack Halberstam.
I mean, that's a better phrase and terminology to go. Let's do that.
The queer art of like failing as a means of like better understanding yourself in relation and context and what you want to do. But like,
also, I would like to read that book actually, so we could throw that in the show notes.
I
already typed it up. I'm gonna put it in there.
Yeah, I'm hearing the title. I'm like, actually, I would be into reading that. Like, that sounds like my vibe. Because I truly do believe that like it's when you're taking chances and like scraping your knee or like, bumping into the corner or whatever, proverbially speaking, that's when you really start figuring out like what you're good at, or like are the areas that you really are excited about. And that's,
So basically what Nick's saying is great, but maybe not using that phrase to describe it.
I did think about my one manager in particular when he said it. I was like, ugh. That's why I used to describe him. But
yeah, it's so funny because it's probably did come from the corporate world, but I've heard it from. But like I'm over here like thinking about goals, and I was like, man, how many books did I write that I fail at, but I learned from?
Yeah, it's like you basically pulled a Starfire when she uses the wrong metaphor, but she means the right thing. Like that's the
wow.
Anyone who doesn't know, Starfire is like a DC character who she's an alien from another world, and she often screws up the idioms and metaphors of humans. But her heart's in the right place every time she says it. So yeah. Did everyone go? Am I the last one for this one?
Yep, you're up.
I think I am. Okay, cool. Well, writing goals. So I think I was telling y'all maybe last time we recorded, that mine's are just like, I'm in a weird space in terms of what I can and can't write, just because like I have a project on submission right now. So much of my like universe and fate, I think, is going to be determined on what happens with this submission. So I'm kind of like in this space where I'm like, obviously I want the best to happen. Like that's what I want. But I need to operate as if it's not going to happen, because I don't want to like not be working, not doing things. So I have as a goal, if the universe decides the submission goes sideways and it doesn't work out, well, I'm going to be working on these. I'm going to be drafting a novel and I'm going to be editing a novel. Now, if the submission goes well, I'm going to have to finish drafting that thing and editing that thing, and that thing's kind of going to become my whole universe. So I'm in this space where I'm kind of like, I'm setting goals, but also kind of having to understand that like I'm kind of in the hands of fate right now. So I just kind of gotta sit back and just see what the universe decides my path is going to be. Which is actually, you know what, like in years past, that would have stressed me the hell out. That would have like had me like trying to get control of it. But I think one of the biggest lessons I got from last year was like, you just cannot control everything, and you have to let things come to you. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at writing wise. In terms of strategies, I guess. So the biggest strategy for me, at least, now your mileage may vary when you go on submission. I told them, don't tell me anything until someone wants to buy it. Like, I don't want to know. I don't care who rejects it. I don't care like any part of that process. I don't want to know about it until like there's a deal to talk about. Because I know some people prefer to hear it every step of the way. That's not, I can't. Like, the writing life is full of enough rejection. I don't need to purposely add more to it for myself. So that's one of my strategies, is just, kind of unplugging from the things that the stresses that, the industry would put on you if you let them. So, and just trying to, I was telling Shingai this, I wish she was here because me and her had this conversation. I was telling her that like, I just want to get back to loving it again, just loving it for the sake of loving it. Like, not being so worried about like, is this going to sell? Is this marketable? Is it, so yeah. So, that's kind of where I'm at in terms of my writing goals for the year. You go ahead, Gabe.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something about, one of the strategies which I think could be useful for so many people is being more intentional about technology use, mainly the phone.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
Even how many times we just grab the phone without thinking why we're grabbing the phone. I think that is a huge thing. And for some, even though my Instagram is wonderful, I don't have videos of less than 3 minutes. I know every video that pops on my feed is amazing, but still, there goes my dopamine. There goes my motivation for the day. And if I grab it in the first hour after waking, I probably messed up my whole motivation for the day. So I want to be so much more intentional about that, about my YouTube. I use YouTube for the music when I write, when I'm working. But obviously the algorithm, they want us there. And sometimes it's all music, but then something about video games pops up. And then my brain just go, oh, video games. Oh. And I open it and I'm playing World of Warcraft before I realize it. Why? Because it was there and I was anxious. I was stressed about the scene that I was writing, and that small friction, and then I was distracted.
Yeah.
So I've stopped playing World of Warcraft, by the way, after 18 years, which is, It feels massive. So yeah, being way more intentional about those things that want our attention, which also take our energy too. And also seeing a few less news. Instagram is half of it is news and all the shit happening. It's good to know what's going on, but not have it drain all of your energy. And
well, that's a very good point. And I think to add to what you're saying from a writer standpoint, like I always try to like think about this. Comparison is the thief of joy. When you see your writer friends or whoever you're admiring, like posting they're posting good things, they're posting, progress and whatnot. Understand that has nothing to do with your journey. Your journey is your journey. You are going to arrive when you need to arrive, and not a moment sooner and not a moment later. So don't internalize that.
Yeah, one phrase that I heard a long time ago from somebody who worked for an organization in Colorado was don't compare your insides to somebody else's outsides.
Oh, I like that.
Because you're also only seeing like part of the picture and like not the backstory.
Yeah.
So like don't compare your insides to somebody else's outsides.
Sure.
All right, Sameem.
Yeah, I mean, on that last point, I think I just said to Jenna the other day, like I'm seeing a lot of people with their like books coming out on Instagram, and like it's really exciting because it's people I know, and it's really cool to see that progress. And then I'm like, I'm having the FOMO of like I want to be able to do that, but then it's like I'm not gonna get there while I'm on Instagram.
Right.
And so some of it's like motivation to be like, okay, it's time to get off, and like Gabe was saying, like really be more intentional about how you're using this stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so I think I'm going to jump to the last question just because I feel like we're getting close to time here. So, okay, I'm gonna, since it's the start of the year and this is the Just Keep Writing podcast, I'm gonna ask this question and frame it for our listeners. What's motivating each of us to just keep writing for the year of 2026?
Spite.
Look, spite is a damn good resource.
These hoes, these disloyal hoes, I'm going to make books in spite of these disloyal hoes. And when it comes time to talk about how I got here, I'm going to be talking about y'all and not these disloyal hoes.
Yeah, spite is spite. I'm with you.
Can I? Whoa! I'm so sorry. I just got stop. Okay.
Amber Alert.
Sorry, my phone decided to go off on alert at the exact same time I wanted to say something. I should have let it go because it's like LP red alert. I don't know. It was a side note, just that as you are writing off spite, you can also write off of today. Oh, my dog is also now very upset by this alarm that was going off. Today in class, my students in my writing speculative fiction for social justice class read a bunch of Omelas retellings, including Yam Wine and Nectar, and were like, this one is the only one that is thinking about like not just looking at injustice from the outside, but like feeling it. And what does it look like to be the person put in that space? Anyway, lots of keep writing too, because there's some students out there reading your shit and being like, this is what I want to write like.
That's the other side. There's so much. I don't think enough writers talk about this thing. I'm breaking the wall. I'm so sorry. LP tangent real quick. There's so much stuff that happens on the other side of the story coming out, which is really like validating and edifying. But none of that shit is in my mind while I'm in the process of creating something. Like I can't think about like fan mail or like who a story has put me in touch with or so on and so forth while I'm writing. Cause I'm just there and I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, the fuck were you thinking? And like, it's like that until it's out somewhere. And then like, I'm good because it belongs to the world. So spite gets me through. And then on the other side, I'm like, oh, wait, people read this. That's weird, but cool.
All right, Marshall, what's going to keep motivating you to write this year?
Oh, that's a really good question. I have a lot of things in my head, but I think it's because it's what I want to be doing more than anything else. And it's something I've wanted to do since I was in middle school. And it's something that if I don't do it, I feel like the older I get, I realize if I don't keep at this and keep pursuing it in the way that I'm not, I guess what I'm saying is I'm ignoring that little kid who wanted to be a writer when he got older. You know what I mean? And I'm basically just need to keep doing it. If nothing ever happens with any of my stories, that's fine. But I have to go at it with some intention because I just really feel like it's what it's what I love to talk about. It's what I love to consume. It's just what I love. And I feel like if I don't make the time to do what I love, then everything else is a lot harder. So that's what's going to keep me going this year, is to just try to lighten up the rest of my life by making sure I'm making the time to do what I love to do. So I don't know if that made sense or got coherent or incoherent, but
that made perfect sense. Jenna, so what's going to keep you going for this year?
Oh, okay. Something LP kind of said earlier about basically not letting other people's responses, I think, invade like your sense of self and like who you are in your work. And for me, that's been needing to, like, I guess like Marshall, you're saying too, figuring out like how to keep the energy up for this thing that you love and like not let other things get in the way of that. So I think I've been trying to figure out how to stop putting my energy into things that aren't giving that energy back. And instead to like let it go into the spaces where I'm feeling joy and feeling excited and sometimes playful or silly or fun, but that those spaces are, that's what keeps me writing, is letting myself be guided by what is energizing me and the relationships that are energizing me and the community that's energizing me. And even when I feel like maybe like this is a place I should be putting energy into because it's my work or, what I'm expected to do, that those are things that have been draining and not fulfilling for me in ways that like, I think that this book I wrote is like the last academic thing I'm going to do. And I know I just said that. Nobody's going to listen to this. But even if they do, because it's not like, I don't want to keep writing shit that gets put behind paywalls and that like a handful of people will read and it doesn't do anything. I want to write things because they're the things that are exciting, the things that I'm passionate about, and things that like people can actually access and use and do something with, or just like stories because I like them. So putting my energies in those spaces, the stuff that's bringing me joy and community and connection, instead of making me feel shitty. The end.
All right, Nick, what's going to motivate you to keep going this year writing?
If I have to read another goddamn book from a male author that's white, writing any ethnic group or females horribly, that is published and they got paid for it, I'm going to shoot somebody.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we
you want to say spite? I'm going to get specific, but I have so many DNFs from last year where I was like, what in the actual ass is this and why did it get published? And it doesn't make sense to me. And so I'm tired of it. So a little bit of LP. I'm going to be a little spiteful, maybe a little motivating when I write something someone will take from and be like, oh, this is nice. But I'm just tired of it. I was so tired of reading fantasy where I'm like, God damn, another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good enough reason too, to like take up shelf space for people who are doing a terrible job. All right, Sameem, what's gonna push you through this year?
I mean, something Marshall was saying was reminding me, and I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but back in 2018, I went through like a phase of insomnia and went into therapy for it. And one of the things that came out, the main thing that came out of it was I have, not to be cheesy, but an inner child that's like kicking and screaming after 10 o'clock. That's like, you didn't do your writing thing and you haven't done it for years and you've been talking about it and it's not gotten done. And at that point I started to try to like develop it. One of the things that was lacking, I think in retrospect, I realized was community. And that's something that I started to build in 2018. And I'm super grateful for when I look back, the progress I made in just like developing those connections in the community. And I think that kind of fits back into the theme I was talking about earlier of putting myself out there. Because a big part of why I desire to write is to have a conversation and have what I write be part of a conversation, whether it's with other writers or with readers or with just anyone. And I just want to find more time for it and more spaces for it.
I like that.
All right, Gabe.
Oof. Oh, I'm barely holding it together here. This might be no, it's not a silly thing. I thought about this last week. One of the things that are motivating me the most is just writing the acknowledgements of my novel. Like just thinking about. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it while crying. Okay. I mean, just thinking about everyone that has been involved. I mean, not just all of you guys, my friends, my family, and mostly, I mean, people writing it before I have fewer people to see it, because that's what's happening. Last year, that's what happened. I mean, disease in my family. Just today, we learned another thing. I'll tell you guys later. So it just, I thought about this acknowledgement thing, and I laughed with that answer. Like, yeah, I just want to write this. Like, this sounds like so much fun, and having my friends and people I love like seeing it and being excited about it. Obviously, all the other things that everyone has said. I love writing. I love the craft. It's something that, as Marshall was saying, when I'm old, that's the thing that I would regret not doing. There's nothing else in my life that I would regret the most if I think back. So it's so many reasons, but lately it's this. Just stop wasting freaking time. Related also to the being intentional about my time, my use of focus. And it's that. Just do the freaking thing because I love it. And I love being part of the community. I love also the excuse of, I have to go to all these cons because I'm a writer, because I'm an author, because I have to go sign shit. No, I don't care about that. I just want to see people. I just want to see my people. So I think that has been the through line of my motivation for writing, just the community. So yeah, I had to breathe a lot before my turn.
Oh, well,
so
I don't know how I'm going to end with that, but no, that's beautiful, man. Like I think that's one of those parts of writing too, where like I think sometimes people from the outside looking in don't realize how much of a collaborative effort it is, even in those moments, even though a large chunk of it is solitary. Like, it's not really solitary though, because every time, at least for me, when I sit down and I'm writing, I'm bringing all my shit with me, all the people with me. I'm bringing, every experience, every person with me in some way. That's why I don't know how to write something that isn't me, because everything comes with me, even when I don't want it to. Like, it still comes through. So I think that what you're saying is like hugely important, Gabe. So yeah, thank you for saying that. All right, so I guess I gotta end now. This for myself, what's gonna keep me going is that, like, this is kind of a little bit selfish in some ways, but I'm a better person when I'm writing. And the reason I say that is that, like, writing, especially in these last few years, forces me to be honest with myself. And when I'm honest with myself, then I'm able to actually deal with my shit. And I talked about this with The Necessary Chaos, but like, there was so much grief in writing that thing, and you wouldn't think it because it's just like this, like, kind of like action-y kind of like magic story and all that. But there was just so much grief I had to confront with it that I wasn't dealing with, and I came out the other side of it better for it. And I think with everything I feel like I've been writing lately, I've been having to deal with my shit, and yeah, I'm the better for it. So it is a bit of a selfish act. It's a liberating act, but it is a bit selfish in that front. And not selfishly, actually meeting people who in like real meat space who were like, I'm here because of you. Or I had someone tell me, like, I took the bus for a couple of hours just to come see you. And I was like, okay, all right, so these people exist. This is a real thing. So I need to like buckle down and like honor that effort on their part, honor that sacrifice of time. And, so yeah, so those two things are like my concurrent reasons to keep writing.
So real quick, before we go out, and since we've been talking about community, I just thought to wrap up the conversation or to keep the conversation going, we have a community in the Discord. Feel free in the episode channel to put in what your goals are in response to the episode. We would love to see them and put your intentions out there. I think that's a good way to start 2026. So
yes, this was a great conversation. I'm looking forward to hearing about all of these goals being achieved by the end of the year.
Yeah, we might have to have.
No, you said we got to fail. You said it's good to fail.
I know, but I'm claiming success. You can still fail, but I'm gonna claim success. Like I'm gonna be the cheerleader, but I'm also gonna be like there to like wipe the tears. When you say like, "Oh, I didn't do it," so I'm both. I'll be in both roles.
And this has been Just Keep Writing, a podcast for writers, by writers, to keep you writing. You can find us at justkeepwriting.org. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Feel free to reach out to any of us on our social medias, and please jump in our Just Keep Writing Discord channel. Links to all of that is in the show notes. Lastly, please support our show by going to patreon.com/justkeepwriting. We offer daily writing prompts, early access to podcast episodes, and much more. Thanks for listening, and just keep writing.